Well, hello and welcome back to the DC UK podcast. This is season 3, episode 23, and I'm your host, James Graham. As you'll see alongside me over this side, we've got Angus. Say hello, Angus.
How's it going, everyone? Glad to be back.
And you'll see down below, it's Daniel Wise. How are you doing?
It's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
It has been, as the kids say, a hot minute. Is that right?
The hottest minute, but
Angus, you're a kid, aren't you?
This is
that
the
right?
time to
Yeah, I'm
be
22. You could say it's been a hot minute. You could say it's been a brick. It's been a while. That's the easiest way to say it.
I'll go with that. That's the typical thing to say. It has been a long time. Well, it's not been a long time. It's been a couple of weeks since the last episode. But yes, we've had the international break. There's a few things happened, But Daniel, like I said, it's been close to a month, I want to say.
If not longer. And look, you know what? Here's the thing. The food analogies, they're out the window.
What?
They're out.
Why?
Because you know what? Right now, like the dirty, dirty Blanca main that I am in Street Fighter, the international break, MLS playoffs, has me charged up. I'm electrified. And this is the best time to be watching soccer here in America. So, I am ready to get right into this. So, you know what? No more hush puppies, which I had for the first time a couple of weeks ago when I made a trip back to Virginia. Totally got it wrong what hush puppies are, but
yeah, you did. You really did. But they are delicious, aren't they?
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. But no more of that. It's time to get aggressive. It's not vamos por más, it's vamos por todas, because we have to go for broke. We have to take it all like thieves in the night. DC United has to win every single game. I mean, every single game, but they need to get into the playoffs on an upswing. And I think with the last 6 games here, 4 of those 6 are home games. And as DC United has established, Audi Field is a fortress. And I'm feeling really good going into this stretch.
Indeed. Angus, how do you top that?
I'm excited. I know that's not really topping it, but I am very excited.
I love that. I'm excited.
There is almost too much soccer to watch right now. And not to mention, there are plenty of other sports starting up. Hockey started this week. The NHL started. So I was triple to quadruple to quintuple boxing stuff on Wednesday night with Loudoun United, with the Spirit, with the men's national team, with the Washington Capitals. It was fast, furious, and I'm still recovering, I guess, from that. It was like an NFL Sunday on a Wednesday night. That's the analogy I can use. You have no idea what that means.
But well, no.
Is insane. Let me just say, 7 hours of commercial-free football. That's what it felt like on Wednesday night.
I'll take that. That's what I mean. I've had days like that where I'd get up, have my breakfast, you have some morning football on, then you get your lunchtime kickoff. You'll have your bit of soccer Saturday on, because that's what we have over here, the Jeff Stelling drinking game. Great game to play, especially when you get Chris Kamara comes on and says, "Unbelievable, Jeff," and that's many shots. Then you get your 5:30 kickoff, then you get your evening kickoff. Oh, it's a day of football. So I'm ready for this last 6 games, and I think we're assuming for the playoff. It's whether we get this home tie or not. That's the big question, and we will talk about that. But first, as always, score prediction update from the previous one. It's not really been much change. It's still I'm on 13 points. Dan, you're on 20 points. I've actually caught up with you a little bit. I've gained 2 points on you. Gained 2 points. And Tom's still sat on 8. So who hasn't been able to make it this evening. But from what he's been saying, he probably will be in the chat. So we'll keep an eye on that. And whilst you're out there, if you're out there and you're watching and you want a question asked and answered, drop it in and we'll answer it live on the show. But let's crack on with some of the news and talking points. like I said, it's been a couple of weeks, but after that Orlando game, we did drop down to 5th in the standings, with Orlando moving up above us, which was a bit of a sucker punch, that one. But again, we'll come on to that in a moment when we do the match catch up. 6 games remaining. Let's just pull up who we've got left, and let's try and work out where we're going to pick up those points. First up is Nashville this weekend. I should know that. It's tomorrow. How do we think we're going to do in that one? Do you think we'll pick up 3 points, 1 point? What do we reckon?
Well, we need 3, right?
Yeah.
That's and to be honest, who knows what'll happen? We've played 2 other teams, 3 if you include Nashville for the first leg, that have more draws than they do wins at this point in the season. And we are, let's see, 2-1-1 against them. The other 2 teams being FC Cincinnati and Toronto FC. Our goal differential, apart from the Nashville blunder, is positive, even though in spite of the Nashville blunder. And to be honest, I do not count any results that did not have Bill Hamid between the sticks. I hate to say that, because John Kempen and Chris Seitz are both great people. They were at the Spirit game with Drew Skundrich on Saturday.
Yep.
And they're supporting the soccer in the community, but they're just not at the same level as arguably one of the greatest goalkeepers to ever play in the MLS, Bill Hamid. So I do not count personally any result that does not have him starting as any sort of tell as to how a second game with him starting would look, because he is that kind of game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. He is. He does play at a DP level for me. He's that kind of player. We are so much weaker without him. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. I think this weekend's going to be tight. And again, I'll give my score prediction at the end, but it's going to be a close one, because Nashville, they're good at keeping clean sheets, especially on the road at the moment. They're not far off breaking a record on that. But yeah, I think we can pick something up this weekend. Then the next game is a midweek game against New England. Dan, what do we reckon on that one?
Oh man, so this season, I have never been afraid to say when I don't feel good about DC and their chances on particular games. It's going to be really tough. But I just don't really see New England kind of giving up their momentum. Even though it is going to be a home game, I that's just one that I'm kind of chalking up as, at best, I'm hoping maybe a tie.
Oh,
Again, yet to play them with Bill Hamid. Both games were away and on turf. So no Andy Nahar in either game. Granted, the first one was the second game of the season, but we only lost that game on the back of a Brendan Hines-like own goal.
True.
It was a 1-0 finish. And we did get the jump on New England the second time we played them, with Paul Ariel scoring with like a minute in, but then he obviously injured himself on the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does that game shake out if we don't have to automatically go to our bench 10 minutes into the first half? And that game also finished 3-2. Granted, the second goal came in garbage time. A beautiful strike by, is it today his birthday or was yesterday his birthday? Ramon Wanchope Albia. Great strike.
The one chop waltz of a player.
Yeah, well, that didn't happen until the next game. But that was a great, it was a good indicator that we can beat a team like New England. This team is the kind of team that can give anyone the business on any given day. We're going to discuss it later, but who knows what'll happen given what our attack is going to look like on Saturday and what it likely will look like on Wednesday. We shall see. But who knows? I think it's all to play for at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the following game.
It's scary for sure, though, I'll be honest.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we could end up coming out with this without any. Anything could happen.
We could go to New York City We could go to New York City next Saturday with 0 with
Yeah.
a 2-game losing streak. I could see it. I don't personally think it's going to happen,
No.
but it's not within the realm of possibility.
Exactly. So New York City FC over Quantum, I think. I thought it was at Red Bull Arena, but it's at Yankee
It is.
Stadium now.
Oh, they moved it now.
Yeah, well, I'm on the DC website fixture list, and it's down as Yankee Stadium.
Oh, well, good for them.
They're actually
Finally
playing
getting
at
to play in their
home.
home area. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether that's going to be an advantage or disadvantage for them at the moment.
Oh, I could see it being an advantage for DC United, actually, but that's
Depends
just
on
me.
how much of that carpet gets kicked up.
Well, yeah, that's it.
Oh, I guess
isn't
the
it?
Yankee season is over, so yeah,
Is
they
it?
wouldn't have to worry about it. They can, yeah, but
Again, one of the things that just go
the smaller, narrower field, it's probably going to appeal the pressing team. So we'll see.
fair. So yeah, that one is at the Yankee Stadium, which is always a good surprise. And then the following game, which is for me, is on the 28th of October. For you guys, it's on the 27th.
That's Red Bull at home.
That is the
midweek.
Red Bull game.
We have 5 games in 15 days
Oh,
to effectively close the season out.
it's a massive ask, isn't it? How do you rotate the squad? How do you keep everyone fresh?
Especially coming off an international break where we had 3 games in a week before, then our internationals got 3 games in a week, and then they got to come back and do the same thing again, and then again, and this is crazy.
Yeah, there's literally no rest for the wicked on this one.
And no rest for Paul Arriola until now.
Well, yeah, exactly. He's now getting the rest.
Yeah.
Then we got Columbus at Audi Field again on.
For you, it's Halloween.
It's for me, it's Halloween, so it could be a scary
you, it's
thought.
Halloween. It's the Hallows Eve in DC.
It is the Halloween's Eve, and then the final game of the season, 7th of November, for everyone. Yes, it's finally a good kickoff. It's the only kickoff that's a decent one for the rest of the regular season. 8:30 for us over here in the UK, but it's
Decision day and
day.
The Eastern Conference goes first.
It's going to be a good one. I mean, it's if you could pick any team to play at the end of the season, Toronto would be up there.
Yeah,
I would.
Although
I would warn I would warn that Toronto is not forgetting the shellacking that they received early in the season, and depending on just where the pendulum is, or in terms of like where DC stands in the playoff picture, they could very well play spoiler in that scenario and completely wash this season. That would be a tragedy. And I of the teams that are kind of in this final push, I think DC has a solid enough approach, confident enough that they can get in. So it's going to be tight. I mean, this is what I love about MLS is, people love the magic about, those certain Premier League seasons, like 2012 or 2018, where you had those top 2 teams kind of striving for that, for the championship. But I mean, in MLS, this is what's so good about it is that you're having that 2012 scenario among probably 6 different teams. And at the end of the season, there are going to be some broken hearts because everyone at this point is believing that they can get into that playoff picture. But this is going to be nuts. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, definitely.
I would also like to add, we said the same thing about playing FCC in 2019, and they were in a very similar situation.
Yeah.
And we had FCC at home. So,
yeah.
Granted, both situations are different in their own ways. However, us being in a playoff spot, wanting to keep a playoff spot, pushing for a home playoff game, playing the last place team in the East, the history, the recent history is still fresh in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah. But then in those days we had Ben, we now have Hernan. So
that's true.
It's different, completely different style of football as well, which is Oh, it's
Grass
nice.
field away day too, which isn't usually what happens.
No, you're
It
right.
always seems that the away days are on the turf, apart from Red Bull and Philly.
Yeah. Did you see the video that came out today? Was it yesterday or it might have been yesterday with Hernan's sort of G'ing up the fans on socials? That was I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching that this morning. I was just like, yeah, that's something I could definitely get behind. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Speaking of what was happening on socials, that chain that Yo Gotti got made.
Yeah,
I saw that. I think it's great for starters.
it's fantastic.
Because I saw
No.
that a month, maybe a couple weeks ago. I don't have any perception of time anymore. When he was first announced as the owner, so go back to whenever that was. That's when he got it originally. I appreciate it because it shows he's not only investing in the team, he's investing in his own brand with the team.
Yeah.
And if he wears that on stage, people are going to see that. They're definitely going to see that. And they're going to go, what is that? And they'll Google DC United, and maybe they'll catch a game or two, or maybe they'll buy some merchandise, which is all going to come back to help the team in the first place. So if he wants to do that with his own money, go ahead. Lord knows I've wasted my money on DC United stuff before. He's just doing it to the next degree.
Yeah.
I completely respect that sort of thing. I don't know. I kind of there's something fascinating just about just creating the most gigantic pieces of jewelry and just decking them out. For me, personally, like obviously, like not really a style I would go for. But it's incredible, and it's I think in the sort of scheme, it's a tasteful piece. I think, relatively speaking, it's tasteful. It is true to DC United. He doesn't really futz with the icon much. Like he has respect for it. So hey, I'm all for that.
It's just it was so loud and brash and out there. I was just like, oh wow. I know you got America big is better.
Absolutely.
For us, it's just like,
you have to respect it.
Oh wow. Wasn't expect that much shininess. I think a magpie would love it. If I'm honest, I think magpie. Do you guys have magpies over there?
I don't.
Do you even know what I'm talking about?
I know of them.
So a magpie bird, likes very shiny things.
Fair enough.
Angus is googling it right now. I can tell.
I am. Yeah. So we don't have this bird.
No.
From looking at the pictures, but we do have birds that have infatuations with shiny things, like crows and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's probably very similar to that, I would assume, but maybe they take it to the next degree. I don't know.
I mean, they put it in their own nests and everything.
I think
I don't know
crows
whether
do the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah. There you go.
We had a painted warbler, which is a very important bird that doesn't usually end up around the DC area here. This time last year, I think, and yeah, people just flocking to where it was supposedly living and just literally waiting to see this bird. And I don't get it, but yeah, people like it.
Yeah, bird watchers.
People like seeing birds. Bird watchers love it, I guess.
Yep. Albert has just popped up on the chat saying if he can buy DCU Gnome, I didn't even know those existed.
You can get them for $2 on the team store.
Really?
They're super on sale. They're like, yeah. I think Albert actually bought one, if I remember correctly.
He just says, you can overspend on a chain. Yeah. I mean, I really did not know gnomes existed. That's amazing.
Who knows if he's overspending? I mean, that's sort of the thing is I don't know Yo Gotti's net worth, but like, something like that if it makes sense, and I mean, yeah. I think as an ambassador, I think it's something that pays for itself over time.
I think both me and Angus have got the same idea there, where we're googling the net worth of Yo Gotti.
Supposedly it's $16 million, which might even go up.
Yeah,
it might go up with his purchase of the club too, because that's definitely an investment. He supposedly dropped a sizable chunk on the team as well, considering the overall evaluation was so high based off of his purchase. So
yeah, I mean, isn't
who
it like
knows?
$750 million now?
Yeah,
That
we're
the
like
club's worth.
we're double what we're almost double what Newcastle was taken over for, I think.
Mm. Oh,
So
don't even
never
get me
forget
started.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember rightly, we're worth more than Everton Football Club, which is just
Probably.
bonkers,
Yeah.
absolutely
I mean,
bonkers.
if you believe the valuations, obviously the
Yeah,
valuations don't mean shit, but
yeah, we'll bleep that one out.
we'll believe it when someone cuts the check, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, when we start
Yeah.
seeing things being spent and actually seeing a physical return on it. Speaking of things being spent and physical returns, new training facilities. They look
Yeah.
rather nice.
Yeah.
Everyone was bashing them when they saw the outside, and then they open up the doors, and they're like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah, that looks quite. It looks very, very nice. Lots of good kit in there. The pitches look really nice for them to be training on. Got
It's not about
no
how it
issues.
looks; it's about how effective it is and how it
Yeah.
makes the players feel, right?
I mean, they all
If you-
smiled for the photos.
Well, yeah, but everybody seems to be excited about it. Every single player posted about it on their social medias, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
Shoot, Nahar just got to see it today for the first time, and he was all over social media with it. So
Yeah.
always a good sign.
And Nahar would know, sort of like how probably how the old training facilities were back in the day. So like this is probably just a tremendous upgrade, and
He and
yeah,
Bill
I mean
are-
it's
yeah.
super impressive.
And when you think he's been over to Europe and played for Champions League football side Anderlecht, who would have had really good facilities, and you think about the way their youth academy works and all the players that come through that youth academy, they're going to have some really good facilities. So he knows what a good facility is. If he's enjoying it, then I'm happy for that. So yeah. Other things, as you mentioned earlier, Angus, Paul is having a nice little rest. He got injured in the warm up to. It was the last US men's game, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the men's game against Costa Rica, so that would have been on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
He suffered a right groin injury, according to Stephen Goff. The severity of which we do not know, and all we know is that it happened in warm-ups, and he was replaced by Timothy Way, the son of George Way.
Legend.
Yeah, and the president of Liberia. So, yeah, we got the first family of soccer playing for the United States.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
For what it's worth.
Yep. And then other bits on the injury report. Skundrich is cleared. Perez is questionable. And Paul Flores and Jordi Reyna are all ruled out. I know Skundrich is. It feels like he's a bit of Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. Because I know some people on the DCUK chat aren't so up on him, I want to say. But Dan, what's your thoughts on Skundrich?
To a degree, I respect people who have moxie, and Skundrich is a guy who's got it. He'll take shots that are completely inadvised, but I'm like, you know what, go for it, because there are so many times where players these days have like an open shot and they'll end up trying to dish the ball centrally or something like that. But I love guys that just pull the trigger. So Skundrich, even if he's out of the stratosphere, in terms of accuracy, I still applaud it. And yeah, he's a guy who gets out there. He knows his role in the club, and he he fills in nicely wherever he's needed. And I think coming in with this game against Nashville, he's gonna have a role there. With the people that are out, I think he's going to. I would say he's probably going to get the start, and we'll see how that works out.
No, that's an interesting call. Angus, your thoughts on on Skundrich?
So I like him, but I think
There's a but.
there's always a but. The thing is I think that he has a certain role, and I don't think his role is a starting player. I think
It's
Drew
not.
Skundrich.
Yeah,
I think I think Drew Skundrich is the type of dude you put out there to run around and clean up in the last 20. Right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why people are saying he doesn't even have a true position, is because he's just running around making sure we don't concede late. Right? That's his job. The thing is if you start a player like that, you let everyone know right from the jump, you're not playing to win. Because he's not the kind of guy who's going to win you a game. He isn't. And if I am proven wrong on Saturday and he gets a start and bangs in 2 goals or whatever, has a master class out of right wing, left wing, or midfield, wherever we decide to put him on the team sheet, that's fine. And I'll eat my crow or whatever the saying is, right? I don't care.
Whatever you old people say.
Right. The thing is Drew Skundrich will not win us a game. In the same vein that like a Griffin Yao or a Yamil Assad could, right?
Mm.
And if there is anyone who has had the time, having not been called up to a national team, having been the only of wingers available over the last week and a half of training, it's Yao and Assad. I don't know if Assad gets a nod. I probably see Kamara even getting shifted out wide if we wanted to play with wingers. Because he played left wing at LA Galaxy before his move to China. He played with Zlatan in the middle and played very well at the left wing position. He earned his transfer playing at the left wing. Granted, we got him back from his horrendous spell in China, and that has seemed to knock him off up until this point.
Yep.
And I know that he himself doesn't like playing on the left, but it would be cool if we played him and Roberta at the same time and they even overlapped and did all funky stuff like that. The question is what do we do? And we can pull Paredes up and just plop Mora in as well. That's a whole nother issue that we can solve. But, who knows? We had a winger extravaganza last time we played, and now we don't have any. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, in my mind, Skundrich doesn't start. In my head. Do I see it happening? For sure. Losada loves the guy. He puts in a hard shift every time, and Losada loves him. But I don't see, in my mind, if we wanted to push for 3 points on Saturday, that happening with Drew Skundrich in the starting lineup. And I'm sorry, Drew, if you're listening. That's just how I see it. Obviously, you know better than I.
I mean, if he just absolutely rifles one in from 40 yards out.
I don't know. Yeah.
Here's the thing. And maybe I'm coming at this from a different mindset. Is that I obviously yes, if you want to put out your best 11 for any game, and you don't necessarily want to be playing for any type of result. You want to be going for the win each time. I mean that's vamos por más to a T. And I think what it is I think it's sort of in preparation for New England. And I think it's giving guys a chance to rest. So just kind of tooling with the starting 11 and maybe letting some guys sit out. I don't see Nahar starting this game. I think he'll come in at some point. But I think you would probably have I would even throw Perez in there just to have him come in, see if he can light a fire. But obviously I haven't seen him in training or anything like that, so I don't know where he's at with his fitness. But gosh, I would say just give some of these guys a chance to get out there, throw in some minutes. I think allow the defense to kind of play defense, and then get 1 or 2 past Nashville and go into New England with a mostly rested squad, with the depth guys having done their job against Nashville, you bring that firepower against New England. And that's the thing is I think all of these players are bought into this system where, like, I think if you plug them in, they're going to perform. So that's the sort of how I see it is I think it's investing for the long-term run towards the playoffs.
I see that, right? I do see that. But you got to remember, the only people who came back from the international break not hurt are Nahar and Moreno. And Moreno didn't even play on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So everybody on the starting 11 hasn't played a game since Orlando. They haven't. This is the biggest rest we're going to get for the rest of the season. And our two most important games for the rest of the season are on Saturday and on Wednesday. Because those are the only times we're going to play people that, in where we see ourselves in the standings, are at that next level, right? The only chance we're going to have to get points back in a chase, right? Because everything else is the race, right? Everyone else is right on. The only people that are clear above us are the next two games. And so I think you have to go for it on the next two games. And why start a guy who, doesn't necessarily have that spark that a Yao does, right? And we've all been clamoring for Yao. And if Yao goes out there and shits the bed, then that silences everyone, right? That's it. We've had our discussion. But we've seen what Skundrich can do from a starting position. We saw what he did in Atlanta. He got subbed off for Yao, and we scored. We've seen what he does from the bench, and we can hold on to wins. We can. So why not just switch it? Why not start Griff, get on the attack, because we're not starting Nahar, so we're going to have Frederick Briant at center back, because he's the only other healthy one. I guess maybe Alfaro as well.
Yeah.
Right? It's either Fred or Alfaro, and we know how much of a hothead Alfaro can be, so we want to keep the ball away from him. And we know how slow Fred can be, so we want to keep anybody with pace away from him. Oh, wait, Hani Mukhtar has amazing pace. So we got to keep pushing them, right? Which is the whole point of the system in the first place, is just press. And so if we're not pressing, we're just going to get attacked, and we're just playing Benny ball at that point. So why hold on to the defense and get points? Because we're not going to score two with Drew Skundrich on the field.
Interesting. Hot takes. I wasn't expecting a conversation about Drew Skundrich to come out with some absolute corkers there.
Again, I like the guy. He's a great guy, right? And there's nobody on this team that I hate as a person, right? No. There's nobody on this team that I dislike as a person. And I'm sorry, Drew, I cannot do half of the things you do on the field. I can't do 90% of it, if we're being totally honest, other than maybe walk and run, right? That's it. That's the only things that we can maybe do at a similar level, but you're probably also faster than me at both of those things. But I'm just sitting here watching game tape. That's what I do. And what I see is this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where when I see him play, I see why Losada plays him so much, because he's
Ulysses Segura. It's the same player.
Yeah, absolutely. He can literally play anywhere on the field. He's a jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly.
That's how it is. And
the thing is,
forward for a day, Ulysses Segura.
Yeah. The thing is Ulysses Segura is more technically gifted than a Drew Skundrich, or he was when he was on DC. He's been out all year. I don't know if he's back playing with Austin or not. And hopefully he gets healthy and gets to play soon, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing with Segura. He's more technically gifted. So he disappointed me more often than Drew Skundrich does, because my expectations for Drew are lower. So I like Drew more than I like Ulysses, but they play the same position in my mind, which is no position.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we could start that and then think that that's a way to get 3 points. It's a way to hold 3 points, but it's not a way to go out and get it.
Yeah. Fair. Speaking of 3 points and maybe he's not getting them, we got to review that last game.
Maybe Drew should have played.
2 weeks ago. Cast your minds back to then if you really want to, but I'll go through this quickly because it was painful. 2-1 defeat down in Orlando. Possession-wise, we were not there at all. Basically 65 to 35% possession in their favour. 12 shots to 11. 4 to 2 on targets. Not really a game of many saves, 2 offsides each, 9 fouls to 14 fouls, and then expected goals 1.5 to 0.5. A couple of things I obviously want to bring out and note on this one is obviously how much of a gut punch it felt when we got that last kick of the game, last header of the game defeat. It really, especially it was in the 97th minute when there was only supposed to be 6 minutes of added time. So on that corner, when we should have been concentrating at the hardest, who should have been marking DK? Who should have marked him on that one? Because I think it fell to Russell, and Russell's not a big guy.
It was Russell who was directly in front of him. Pines was shadowing the guy right behind DK and was like within 3 feet of Daryl when the header was struck. You know, it should have been a center back, straight up. It should have been one of the 3 that were out there, or any of the 3 defenders, because I know that we subbed off Alfaro, subbed on someone else, and I don't know if it was Breon. I can't remember that far back, and I apologize.
No,
but it should have been a center back. It should have been a guy like Birnbaum or a guy like Pines who win 90% of the duels they go up for.
Yeah. Actually, Alfaro was in when that happened as well. So I mean, yeah, there was a plethora of options to cover DK.
It was just, I don't know what the heck happened, but we just seemed to have that momentary lapse in concentration, and because of that, we lost the game where we could have come out with an extra point, which would have meant we would still be in 4th place, because that's how the table works.
No, we had subbed out Alfaro. We had subbed him out. He got subbed out in the 41st minute because he had the yellow card. No, he had the yellow card.
He did.
He had the really scary tackle that should have been probably enough.
Yes.
It was a clean tackle from my eyes, but that was when the ref got involved with the Orlando bench.
Yeah.
Yep.
About whether or not that should have been a second yellow. So it was Joseph Mora that came in and played on a wing back, because we were playing Nahar on the wing because Paredes had enough. So Paredes didn't play. So we were playing Nahar on the wing. He then shifted back to his natural center back position, right? And Mora came in and played on the wing, on the left wing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that yellow card that Alfaro got and the yellow card that he should have got.
Well, no, because he got ball. That was a clean tackle. To me, it was a clean tackle. I think he got the ball on that. I think that if you make enough noise, people are going to look at it way too many times. And that's what ended up happening. I think it was a hard tackle, right? Challenges can get physical. It's a contact sport. Not every time there's a big collision isn't necessarily a foul. And I think that there was enough in there for it not to be a foul, especially considering it happened, I believe, in the area. So it would have been a penalty.
Did it happen?
It was on the side. It was on the side of it. It was down by the touchline, like the goal line. So I couldn't remember if it was in the area or just outside of it. But
when you're on a yellow card, though, early on,
you should be doing that. You
should not be going in.
No, you should not be, for sure. And I'm not, and that's why he got subbed off, because he was still playing like he was. I don't know, like he didn't just miss the game before because of yellow card accumulation. That's how he was playing.
Yeah, exactly. Dan, was that result correct though?
I mean, it's I suppose. Like, the thing is, when it comes to injury time, like, it's always to the ref's discretion. So even though it was marked as 6 extra and it happened in the 7th minute, I mean, that
happens all the time.
Them's the breaks. And it's sort of like Roberta when he scored that goal when all the other players thought it was an offside thing, and he kept it going. That's how you have to approach like every single minute of a game, is that unless you hear that whistle, you're always going. And so I don't know, but it's tough, when you get to those, if it is 5+ I would even say like 4 probably feels like forever when you're dealing with injury time. You got to stay sharp. And so, Orlando earned that. They got the set piece they wanted. DK got the goal, and hey, it is what it is.
I think the extra minute of added time is fine. It happens all the time, especially because Orlando was attacking and they had earned an attacking set piece. You do not whistle on a corner attempt. You don't, because it's a goal scoring opportunity. However, I have yet to see a replay that actually shows a DC United player deflecting the ball that went out of bounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
I think it's more, that's where the debate is, right?
Yeah.
I think the debate is, I don't even think that was a corner to begin with. Granted, I'm sure somebody saw it. Somebody got a good replay of it and saw that there was a deflection at some point, right? Because the ref is also standing right there, right? There's a touchline judge, or there's a somebody with an official shirt on right there that sees it and that signals for the corner. Yeah. But to me, I did not see anyone touch the ball in a black jersey. I didn't see that, and so I don't know, especially because the ball doesn't, when you look at it in slow motion, the ball spin does not change. And that's always been my biggest indicator of, it was deflected. The ball changed its spinning direction. That doesn't change.
Yeah. That's common sense, though, isn't it? Referees don't work on common sense. You should know that by now, Angus.
Especially pro referees. Especially those trained by pro.
Yes.
They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Anyway.
And, if they do know what they're doing on Saturday, then I apologize. Especially if it's in the favor of DC.
Yeah. Especially if it goes to VAR and we get a penalty for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Up steps Ola and just slots it in the bottom corner. Hopefully. Yeah. Right. Should we talk about the game this weekend?
Why not? That's why we're here, right?
Yeah. So I know we've had a question in about the game this weekend about predicted 11, but we'll do that at the end before we do the score prediction for the game, because I think that's actually probably the wise time to do it. So Nashville is our next game down at Audi Field for Eastern time. It is a 7:38 p.m. kickoff. For us over here in the UK, it is a 38 minutes past midnight kickoff. Yeah. Central European time, it's 1:38. Over in Turkey, it'll be 2:38. Central time, 6:38. Pacific time, 5:38. So wherever you are, it should be a decent time to watch it, apart from obviously Turkey, because it's very early in the morning. But yes, so things about Nashville, they've only been beaten 3 times on the road this season. They've drawn 7 and they've won 3. So they've not won that many games. The king of the draws, it seems.
14 draws, 11 wins.
It's ridiculous how many times they've drawn this season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've won the second most home games in the entire league. Just to go on the flip side of that, I think that's a really good thing that we've been able to do, and it's a great thing to shout about. The only team that have won more home games this season are the Supporter Shield leaders in New England Revolution. As we've mentioned already, Nashville have beaten us twice already this season, both in Nashville, and Kempen was in goal. So, we'll ignore those. CJ Sapong scored 9 times against us across 4 different clubs. So he's their key man from my eyes. That's the player that we've really got to watch out for. And then it's Military Appreciation Night as well. So I know that's a big thing for you guys over in USA, is showing your appreciation to the people who are in the service. So get out there. If you're out there, I'm sure you'll be doing that, Angus, won't you?
I mean, I'll be at the game. Yeah, of course. I'm at like every game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there for sure. Yeah. I didn't even know it was Military Appreciation Night. Maybe also, if you are going to the game this weekend, home and away kits, all kits, 40% off at the team store. So if you want to get a jersey, go get a jersey.
There you go. I think
this is the weekend to do it.
I think there's also, if you went through the website on MLS, it's also free delivery as well.
Get yourself
The
a
thing
DC
is you don't
United
get-
gnome.
You don't get $2.
The thing is, that free delivery, there's no minimum purchase as well, so you can get a DC United gnome
For
and
$2, straight
for
up.
$2.
The thing
That's
is,
Get a
it.
you can
gaggle of
only
them.
get the jerseys are only on sale at the physical team store. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
Fair.
Not on the website. The website will likely go on sale, especially because we're moving on from Leidos as our jersey sponsor.
Yes.
Those will probably go on sale as the season concludes. However, if you wanted to get one at the team store, get it customized, do whatever you want to it, 40% off this weekend. Both jerseys, the current marble and the current home. I know we're getting a new home, but because the marbles all have Leidos on the front,
Yep.
those are also going on sale.
Yeah, they need to be shifted.
Go in and get some.
Nice.
Yes. So let's have a little think about this weekend's game then. So I know Albert's just mentioned about the Nashville attacking power that they have, which obviously, as I mentioned, CJ Sapong. They've got, as you mentioned, Angus, Hani Mukhtar.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we battle against a team like Nashville who have kept 8 clean sheets on the road so far this season? How do we break that defense down? I mean,
Here's
obviously
what you
we've
do.
got Ola.
Here's what you do. You go out, you buy a notebook that says top coach on it. And you write as much top coach stuff in there as you can fit in it. and the key will be there. That's what you need to do.
If
We
you've
build
not
it,
seen
they
the
will come.
picture, there's a picture of Fernand Lasada. I think it's where he's kind of just chatting with Paredes, Bill. There's a group of them there, and he's holding this notebook, and I zoomed in on it, and I was just like, got to see what that says. Got to see what that says, and it says top coach. I love that. Absolutely love it. Because it just
feel like
shows
that's
how
a
much
brand.
he cares.
I feel like that's got to be a brand, right?
Is it a brand? Let's have a look.
I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's that big on himself. I don't know if he's like that big on himself to call himself the top coach. You know what I mean? He deserves it, right? We all know he is.
Top coach in
I don't know.
MLS.
Right. Let me just Google top coach and see what comes up.
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
Who knows? If you search
hang on.
top
Yeah.
coach notepad, it's a brand. You can buy it.
Oh,
So there you go.
there we
Anyway.
go. We all need to get out there and buy ourselves a top coach notepad.
It's the key for any Hernan Losada Halloween costume.
I think this is a game and kind of peeking into my starting
It's
up.
European.
And I think, to a degree, like Angus is probably going to hate my starting 11. But I think you kind of bring in the hotheads, to be completely honest. I think you start Alfaro. I think you bring in Felipe, and you just, my thing is, I think you put as much pressure as you can possibly muster on Nashville. Going back to my Street Fighter, because I'm very much into the FGC right now, the fighting game community, following some TikToks, and I'm getting back into it. But in fighting games, there's this concept called corner pressure, and what it is you back your opponent into the whatever corner they need to defend, and you just get at them. You give every ounce of offense to them, and you just don't let up. You suffocate them completely. I think if they just absolutely attack, and this is kind of going against what I've said before about DC United, about kind of opening up for those chances. But I think this is a game where you just need to absolutely get after Nashville, get after Sapong, and just lay the wood on them.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me the big key is obviously not allowing Sapong get the ball, and more importantly, not let the ball get to Mukhtar as well. To me, they're the key players that we need to make sure that they don't spend time. And if they do get the ball, we need to shut them down quick. So Felipe, if you're listening, if you're watching, break an ankle.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Kev, if you're into that, just do some rings around them, break their ankles that way.
Yeah.
Do that. But yeah, it's then they've got at the back. They've got Zimmerman as well, who's a
who
quality.
might not be playing. We don't know.
Really?
He played twice. He played twice for the U.S. International and came on as a sub in the
Oh,
Jamaica game. He got a lot of burn for the men's
oh,
national team this week.
thank you for
He
that.
started twice. Started
Yeah.
on the previous Wednesday or the Thursday game in
Okay.
Panama, or played a home game against Jamaica, played in the loss against Panama, and then came on as a sub late in the game, but still came in as a sub and got some against in Columbus against Costa Rica. I don't know if he'll be fit. He'll probably be fit enough to go. I would
Yeah.
assume he is Nashville's best defender. We don't know. We got lucky the last time though with Miles Robinson having played a bunch, and he didn't play when we played Atlanta. So maybe Nashville, who are in a much more comfortable position, I might add, in the situation where they can give up some points, not necessarily start their best 11 on the road. There could be a situation where he doesn't play. We don't know. But he did get a lot of burn. That is important to note. He did get a lot of burn this international window.
There we go. I didn't realize that. I mean, obviously, I don't closely
You
follow
don't
the
follow.
US men.
Yeah, you were watching the stadium that burned down before the game.
To be honest, I didn't even watch any of the England games.
Yeah, because you know that qualifying's you know that you're qualified.
We
They're
drew
gonna open up
against
wild.
Hungary.
They're going to open up wild card spots if England doesn't make the World Cup. They're like, they need England in the World Cup. They're going to be like, commissioner's choice. It's like the All-Star game, right?
Yeah.
There's going to commissioner's choice it in, and England's automatically going to qualify. It's amazing.
I'm getting behind.
If they
this
want any
conspiracy
national team not to be in any major tournament, it's England. They hate us. That's why we've not had the World Cup or the Euros for so long.
Well, no, the last time you lost the World Cup was because it was rigged in the first place, but it was rigged for Russia. So that's what it is.
Yeah. And then the 2010 one when Lampard should have scored.
Well, goal line technology wasn't a thing until 2014.
Yeah.
Spent
Don't I
millions
know
of dollars
that?
on goal line technology.
Don't I flipping know that? I'm just looking at Nashville's upcoming games as well, just because obviously you were talking about Walker Zimmerman there. Their next game in midweek is against Columbus. So I reckon they'll want to do well against them because Columbus are sort of in and around as well. They'll be chasing a playoff spot.
Is it a home game or an away game?
It is a home game.
For Nashville, correct?
For Nashville, yeah.
So that's something that if they're going to rest Walker Zimmerman, this is the game they do it again. They do it for him.
Yeah.
Whereas if we need to rest Andy, I don't know if we rest. I don't know. That's a whole, my lineup choices are all over the place.
It's a difficult one, this one. Especially
the back line especially is very difficult, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Right, let me get back to my show notes. There we go. So actually the last bit is about Nahar. Do we see him? So I know we had a question come in from David.
Dave asked the question.
He did indeed. So he was asking what's our take on whether Nahar played all 3 World Cup qualifiers and then playing again on 3 days of rest.
So he played in all 3, but did not start all 3. The middle game in their window, he did come on off the bench.
Okay.
Obviously, he's going to play. He might not feature in the 11, but he is going to get minutes in every World Cup qualifying game Honduras plays. He is their best player. At the moment, he is the best Honduras player in their player pool. So he's going to get minutes there. The difference is the last World Cup window, we came back and we had to travel to Atlanta and play on their very poor turf.
Yeah.
There's talk about them getting a grass field for the 2026 World Cup. It will not go well because they don't have a roof that I think can support grass because it's this tiny little hole in the sky that 90% of the day the sun is going to be in the stands as opposed to on the field.
Yeah.
It's not like Allegiant Stadium. It's not like SoFi Stadium where you can like open it up, right? I don't know. I think we see him. I don't think he starts, but I think we see him because if there is any person who changes the game in the same respect as Bill Hamid, it's Andy Nahar.
Yeah.
Teams have to respect him if he is on the field because he's out there taking ankles like all the time. He's nutmegging World Cup champions. He is balling on a level that we haven't seen from him since his rookie of the year campaign.
Yeah.
He's rejuvenated. He's back. And the thing is, his injuries haven't really been that severe. So at what point do we say he's no longer injury prone? Because you can step away from that title. I think Hernan's approach and Hernan's system has actually benefited him more than anyone else because it's weirdly forced him to get back into a shape that everyone knew he still had, especially the coaching staff. That's why they brought him in the first place. It got him into that situation, and it's put him in a really good situation here in DC to thrive again. And I think we have to see him. He might be a first half player, and he gets subbed off at halftime for an Alfaro or a Brion, especially if we've stepped on the gas and we're up by 1 or 2. But I can't see a game where DC has a great result without Nahar starting. And that's been the case all season. Like, if you look at our weirder results, it's come when Nahar has not been playing.
Yeah. I think you're right on that.
It's a great question from Dave, though. That's a fantastic question.
Yeah. For me, I see him as a starter this weekend. And mainly because we can then sub him out at halftime and not use one of our allocated slots for substitutions.
Exactly.
That's how I see it. Dan, what do you reckon?
No, you
Here
guys.
we go. Here we
you
go.
guys have very good points.
Bring a third one.
So that's sort of the thing is I'm kind of thinking, being that I think Skundrich ends up on the field, it's either Mora or Nahar that he goes on for. Honestly, like but I like the idea of Felipe being in there early on. I guess I should just go with my selection, but I would probably go Skundrich, Felipe, Knaus, and Gressel on that middle 4 right there.
Oh, say that again. So you'd have.
So you want Skundrich playing at left wing back?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't think I like that.
No, I don't agree with that.
I don't like that at all.
Fair enough.
He's not quick. Again,
what we like about Paredes playing at that left wing back spot is he provides that dynamicism. That's a word now. He's dynamic.
Dynamism.
He's very dynamic from that left wing back, which is why if we're going to start Skundrich anywhere, it's going to be up top because he provides what Nahar does on the right side, on the left-hand side. Yeah. Which is the ability to beat attackers on the dribble, beat midfielders on the dribble, and then push that ball into the attacking third. Drew Skundrich, again, doesn't do that necessarily. He doesn't beat someone off the dribble. He's a good guy to get stuck in and grind out results. He would have flourished under Ben Olsen, right? This is the player archetype that Ben loved.
Yeah.
The difference is we don't need that in the lineup because we've got Felipes, we've got Knauses, we've got Birnbaums. Skundrich is a good guy off the bench, and I'll say this again, and I'll probably say it another 3 times this episode. He's a great guy off the bench because he will be able to do that. He's another guy who can get stuck in. I just don't see it being off the jump, especially as a defender.
So the reason I throw Skundrich in that position, and like I said, I knew you were going to hate my lineup. I just kind of knew it. But I'm kind of, Hector kind of read my mind when he talked about the Paredes, Kamara, Roberta for top 3. So I think
why no
here's
Mora?
The thing for me, because like I said, I want absolute pressure being up top, and being that Paredes is a guy who gets that pressure up top. I kind of want him in that position. I want him playing forward.
That's fair. I could see that eventuality happening, especially with our winger issues, because normally he's sitting right behind Reyna, who is another guy who does that.
Yeah.
But then why not just swap him? right? Play Paredes where he's comfortable currently, and then play Skundrich up top. If you got to play Skundrich, if you're insisting that you have a guy like Skundrich on the field, why not play him at a more natural position, a position where we've seen him before, as opposed to putting more defensive reliability on the guy who we don't know is if he's good defensively in that kind of situation. Oh, James has got to go for a second. When he comes back, I'm sure it's got to do with his. I'm sure he's got to be a dad for a second, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But he's he's good in the middle and he's good on the wing, but on the wing, not on defense. We haven't seen him as a defender. Playing Mora as a defender is going to be the safer option, I guess.
True, but I would kind of say that again. I think it's that up top pressure, and I think it's one of those things where if Knaus and Felipe match up together in the middle, I think that gives Skundrich a little more kind of leeway to play forward. Play more of that attacking winger role or wing back role rather than back in defense.
The other option,
if things get sort of out of hand, then for sure bring Nahar on for him. But that's just sort of, I don't know. That's if I were
not even a like for like sub
this up in FIFA, that's how I'd kind of approach that.
But that's not like for like sub, because you're bringing off a wing back and putting on a center back, or you're bringing off a winger and putting on a center back. And then the other eventuality that we're completely negating is the fact that Skundrich could start with Knaus and Felipe as a midfield trio, and then you just start two strikers. You play Paredes and you play Gressel as wingbacks, and they push forward in a 5 or a 3-4-1-2 or whatever that formation is called.
I get that.
The midfield trio, if we're doing that, is the biggest eventuality I see.
Sorry, I'll be back again.
Gotta go be a dad again.
Yeah. Like I said, I guess I'm sort of thinking just, like I said, keeping that pressure up top. I don't necessarily think Skundrich really has to play super defensively. It's just, I don't know. I kind of wanted to kind of go, because I mean, you've seen that before, or sort of all season long, is how he kind of lets Nahar get super forward and do his thing up there. And so it's almost kind of like he goes into a 2-back system and everyone's up top. So I'm just sort of saying, I sort of want Paredes playing more up top than that. And just have Skundrich kind of anchor along that touchline. So, I could be completely off base. I totally admit that. But I don't know. That's sort of the 11 that I'm fitting together. Love it or hate it. That's where I'm at.
Well, considering I missed most of that, I'm gonna say I love it.
You don't. No, you don't, James.
No, don't love it. Don't go with what I'm saying, because like I say in my Twitter profile, I am a complete Football Manager poser. So completely disregard.
Okay,
what I'm
I hate
saying.
it. I hate it.
Go for it. I love it. I love it.
Do you love that? I hate it.
Yes.
Or do you hate that? I love it. Which one's it gonna be?
Oh, I accept it. I accept it wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Right. So I'm guessing you guys have gone through some lineup stuff then. I
haven't even told you who I want playing.
Oh, go on.
To be honest.
Go on,
I was just defending my. So I guess
you're anti-Drew.
Yeah. Well, I'm not anti-Drew. That's the thing. Everybody's gonna say I'm anti-Drew. I'm not. It's just he has a role on this team. There is a reason why he is on this team. There's a reason why he was called up to this team, right? Remember, he didn't make the original roster. He was called up. There's a reason, right? It's not to be a left wing back. It's not to be a left winger. It's to be the Swiss Army knife. Come off the bench and just run. He's not a super sub by any means, but he's got a role, right? And if I were to start an 11, right, and I'm thinking in my head, what do I want and who do I want on the field, right? Yao has always impressed in his time off the bench. And is that a question of, apart from when he's playing right wing back, okay? So if he's playing on defense, that's not him, right? Again, has a role, right? When he's playing in his natural position, he has impressed. Against Atlanta, he impressed. He scored against Toronto. Those are the big numbers in my head, right? Now, do we play him up top with a three of Kamara in the middle and Paredes on the left? I don't know. I like Robertha. I think Robertha is somebody who can come off the bench in that situation. But if I had to narrow it down and lock in a lineup, I'd start from the back with a back three of Pines, Birnbaum, and Nahar, who will get a good 45 in. Swap him out, right? I am not anti-Drew Albert. Whatever. Nahar. Fair. Whatever. Nahar, Birnbaum, Pines. That's my solid three for the first 45. You start Gressel, who is now written in stone, in iron, welded onto the team sheet at that right wing back position. I think you go Mora at left wing. At the left wing back, he impressed heavily against Orlando when he was on. He had that goal line clearance, which saved us from going down. So maybe you reward him for that and you play him at left wing back. In the center, because he didn't make the team sheet in the last game for Venezuela, so he's probably very well rested, seeing as he hasn't played since Wednesday. You go Moreno and Canaus. I love Felipe. I have an autographed Felipe jersey. I have 3 Felipe jerseys now that I think about it. And I have a pair of signed Felipe cleats. Okay? I am all for Felipe getting burned. I just don't think he sets up well in a game where we want to isolate CJ Sapong and Hani Mukhtar, because he just isn't physically big enough to isolate CJ Sapong. And maybe that's on the center backs and not on the midfielder. And Felipe is the kind of guy who can go out there and get stuck in, and we should see him at halftime, or we should see him at some point in the second half, for sure. He's that first sub off the bench kind of guy. And then up top, we have a 3 of Paredes, Kamara, and Yao, in my opinion, because Yao can actually get playing time in his natural position. He is young, he's quick, he's hungry. The guy wants to prove why he should be playing. This is the exact type of game where you want a guy who wants to prove why he should be getting playing time to go out there and get playing time. And also to earn a more permanent spot in the lineup while Paul is out recovering from injury for the 3rd time this season.
Fair.
He's always been overlooked. Paul has been out injured for long spells this season, and he's always been overlooked. This is the kind of time when you're down to it, when you don't have a Reyna, when you don't have a Flores to slot into that right wing spot. This is the time. This is his time to prove why he should be playing over a Flores, why he should be playing over a Reyna. This is his time. And so I think you give it to him.
I mean, the only other thing I could potentially throw in there, I mean, for this game, I would start Felipe and I would save Moreno for the game against New England. That's how I would do it.
That's totally fair.
But in terms of rather than playing wingers like we have done, why not overload the central area? And instead of having 2 wingers and 1 striker, why not have like Kamara and Robertha playing up top with Assad or someone like that sitting in behind, and having Paredes playing at left wing back?
So they also play a 3-back system.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a lot of wingers as well.
Yeah.
Our lineups usually and our formations usually line up very well, right? They're very much alike for like. So overloading the center could work.
Yeah.
But I thought they're not going to have a lot of people in the center to begin with.
Which is where we could exploit then.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game of chess, right?
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you've got to be realistic in the fact that you've got to be able to be flexible with how you play. So if you're doing that, then Assad can play on that left wing, Robertha can play on that right wing, and Kamara can then play up top. So you've got that flexibility there. But for me, we should look at overloading the central, especially the fact that we haven't got any real proper natural wingers up top at the moment, and Paredes seems to be excelling at the left
Wow,
wing
Griffin
back.
Yao is just getting destroyed. He's not a natural winger.
He's not impressed me a lot at the moment, and I think he needs regular playing time at Loudoun.
That's fair.
That last game that he came on and we conceded a
FC
goal
Cincinnati
from that.
when he came on for Julian Gressel and was forced to play right wing back because Chris was injured. Chris Adoyacham was injured.
But that throw in to Donovan Pines, that was absolute. That was not. I'm trying to think of the word. Good game management.
No, it wasn't a good. It was not a good decision. His decision making was not there. No. But is that more a question of, I'm out of my element because I'm playing way further back than I'm used to in a role that is reserved for probably one of the best players on this whole team? Is it that, or is it just his decision making is off because he's a 19-year-old kid? So who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I think he needs regular playing time rather than just coming off the bench every now and again and then getting thrown into the starting lineup. I don't think that's fair on him at all.
I also feel sorry for Moses Neyman because he's also completely out of this conversation.
That's very true.
And he's been one of my favorites like all season. That's
Because if you wanted to overload that midfield, he's a great third center mid to bring in on top of
realistically,
Felipe Canals, Felipe Moreno.
He should be ahead of Drew in the pecking order.
Again, it's situational. It's situational, right? Because Drew has probably 6 inches on Moses Neyman.
Yeah.
And Moses is a great playmaker, but he does not play the same type of game that Drew Skundrich plays. Drew plays, again, high press. He just runs, right? It's the same issue that a lot of men's national team fans have with Paul Arriola, is that all he really does is run. And while we all know that that's not true, it's the general 2-sentence description of Drew Skundrich. All he does is run. Moses can play a great pass. And if we're down or if we want to chase, if we're chasing, he's the guy you bring on. He's the guy who breaks the lines with his beautiful through ball ability. And he's the guy who finds a Kamara, Roberta, Wanchope, somebody up top who wins the ball and can score. That's the kind of guy that Moses is. He's like the opposite of Drew in terms of physical versus technical.
I mean, to me, Moses is more of the N'Golo Kante kind of player, where he will boss that midfield because he does have that energy, he does have that athleticism.
Because he's 17 years old.
Yeah. And Rithik Patel, he just chimed in the chat. He's sort of talking about Moses. He's barely had any minutes. It's because, that is the state that DC United's midfield is in right now, is there is such a wealth of options available that, I wouldn't say it's a comment on his quality. It's just, it's the options that are available, and he's going to play a role, I think, at some point in this stretch of games. It's just, I think, to a degree, Losada is going to have to be economical with the options that he has. I think it's going to be a rotation of players. Obviously, we're going to have our mainstays, but I think he's going to be playing it to make sure that everyone is as fresh and energized and ready to go and press as possible, because that's the key to this system is having people who can kind of get in there and run. I mean, that's sort of the thing about Losada Ball is like you are running, you are pressing, you are doing everything up top to sort of harry the opposing team and create opportunities from that. I think Moses still has a place, and honestly, I think it's next year he's going to find a more permanent place, depending on what sort of happens with players in the off season. But he's for sure sticking around, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Albert's just a little comment there. Hard to get minutes with the absolute duo of Moreno and Canals. They really have taken those two central midfield roles, and they have owned it. They are when you come to think of the centre midfield for DC at the moment, they're the two players that you would normally stick on there all all being well. Right. Should we move on to some predictions for this weekend then?
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, you're in the lead in the league table, so you can go first.
2-0 Skundrich with the brace. Calling it. I'm out. I'm leaving the meeting.
You know
Goodbye.
you know what? If Drew Skundrich starts and Drew Skundrich scores 2 goals, I will buy a Drew Skundrich jersey. I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll buy a Drew Skundrich jersey. I will.
There you go.
And I should be buying more jerseys, but I will. I have too many. I will buy a Drew Skundrich jersey if he scores a brace tomorrow. If he scores a hat trick, I'll hit him up on Instagram and say how much for a autograph, and I'll pay him for an autograph as well.
You know what's going to happen straight after this? That clip is going to get cut and put on socials.
I hope so. I'm putting my money where my mouth is because if we can win a game, I will do everything in my power to make sure that we win a game. And if it means buying a 40% off jersey from the team store and spending an extra $30 to get Skundrich 12 put on the back, I will do it. Straight up, I will.
Yeah. Cool. There we go.
Fantastic.
So Daniel, you're going for a 2-0 win with a Drew double. It's a double D.
Yep.
I'm just going to leave that one there. Angus is shaking his head. Angus, what are you going with?
I got a 3-2 DC United win.
Yeah.
I won't beat around the bush. It's a 3-2 game. I don't necessarily know where the goals are going to come from. I know that Ola was pretty much shut down by that defense last time, but we did manage to score 2. Sure, Albert. You know what? Why not? But if Drew could score 2, why not? Why can't we get 3?
Yeah.
I just don't know in a non-Nahar back line, right? I don't see us not conceding, especially because of Sapong's history against DC United. He sure loves to let us know that we passed on him being from Virginia, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So he's from the area, and he loves to tell us that we could have had this guy, right? And he'll probably make that known on Saturday. Mukhtar is Mukhtar, right? He's an MVP candidate. Yep. He is, every time he touches the field, he's too good for this league. And when you got a guy like him as well, there's going to be something that goes wrong on our back line. If Alfaro's playing, if Brion's playing, that's the kind of thing that's going to end up happening. And that's fine as long as we could score more than the other team. And I think that we have people in this lineup who can do that. I don't necessarily know who's going to score. Kamara will probably get 1.
There you go. That's
there we go. There he is. I knew he was from the area. I knew that he was in the academy at one point, and that we did not choose to sign him, and he was super drafted by somebody. But yeah, I think that Kamara gets 1. I think that Paredes probably gets 1, or at least has an assist or 2, because he's the kind of guy whose deliverables have been lacking for the quality of player that he is. He's the 11th, according to MLS writers, he's the 11th best player under the age of 22 in the league. And everyone who's watched him for more than the typical MLS writer, which is probably twice, knows that Kevin Paredes is a lot better than where he is at 11, right? Yeah. He is a top 10, top 5 young gun in this league. And I think that him playing in a more advanced position will probably showcase why he is that good, right? Yeah, and who knows, we get a goal off a set piece, because we always seem to get goals off of set pieces, and then that's one of the 3 center backs banging it in the back of the net off of a Gressel cross, and there's about 3 goals. So Who knows?
Fair. I know I'm going to go. I've not written it down on the notes yet, but I'm going to go for a 2-1. I think it is going to be tight, and I think we will get the 2. And we know Nashville, they are good at keeping clean sheets. They've had their last 2 games on the road as scoreless, so they've had no goals at all. So it's about time that there was going to be some goals in one of their games on the road. So for me, I'm going to go with the 2-1, and I agree with the Sapong theory. I think he will he will be the goal against us. I don't think Mukhtar. I think we will shut Mukhtar down quite well because we seem to do pretty decent on a lot of occasions at shutting down kind of their big players. Not all the time, I will say that, but yeah, I think Ola gets back into scoring ways, and who's going to score?
It's
the other
finding
one?
that second goal, man. That's what I'm trying to say, and
Gressel.
that's he's been on fire lately, and
Yeah,
I
has
think
been
that's
on
kind of
fire.
gone.
Yeah.
And again, like most of DC United this season, it's flown way under the radar. I think he's had like a crazy amount of goals and goal contributions the past like 2 games. Like he scored like
he's
twice and had like 4 assists or something crazy like that.
Didn't he have a hat trick?
He had
of
3
assists
assists
against Minnesota.
Yes, and he scored against Orlando, and he scored against Cincinnati.
It might be it might have been a hat trick assists against Cincinnati and scored against Minnesota. Yeah, he scored against Minnesota.
Yeah, okay. So that's what it was, right? Yes, because it was the Kamara when he broke the ankles on the sideline and then put the cross into Gressel. It was the reverse. It was the remix.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been on fire. It's great. I never bet against DC United. I'd never choose them to lose. I will never choose them to lose a game, right? And I didn't
Choosing
last year.
has me at the top of the scoring prediction.
Congratulations.
So.
I don't care. I will never bet against my teams. I never will. I am a Chicago Bears fan. I am a Washington Capitals fan, and I'm a DC United fan. And all 3 of those teams, when they have been at their lowest, which is now for the Bears, I do not bet against them. And it is so nice to be able to be confident about not betting against a team like I can be right now.
Yeah.
Because we can beat anyone in this league. If we give them a hard 90, we can beat anyone in this team, in this league. Anyone on this team can go up against anyone in this league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think we can go up against anyone in the Eastern Conference. We've not been tested really against the Western. Obviously, we've only played 2 teams from the West, i.e.
And again, 11:30 against San Jose with Sights in goal. I don't count that. That's way past his bedtime. He is a mega dad.
It was way past
his bedtime, and that is well within my Bill Hamid did not play. Therefore, that result does not count.
Yeah,
mantra.
Yeah. And to be fair, that game hinged on one moment where Sorga missed an open goal, and then they went straight down the other end and made it.
And made Briant look very old.
Yeah.
It was Cade Cowell, wasn't it?
It was Cade Cowell, yeah. Because he just came onto the scene at that point as well. So he was his confidence was so high.
Higher than Paredes in the under 22 standings, but I don't care. Thanks, Albert. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't know. What spot is the Chicago Bears?
They're an NFL team. They play American football.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we're good.
Just not right now.
Those Cutler days were something.
Yeah, he's an interesting fella, but he is not an NFL quarterback. I'll tell you that. Or he wasn't since he left Denver. But
that was weird. Yeah,
it's the wrong kind of football, lads. Come on, let's get back to proper football.
There's something about hold on a second. There's something about Denver quarterbacks that have one hype season and then they go to another team and completely blow it. Yeah. Anyways, totally beside the point. Yep.
Also, football was a word used by the English to describe any game played not on horseback, to differentiate between the poverty working class and the elite class that played their games on horses. So any game that is played on foot is technically speaking of football. Just FYI, that's why it's called association football and was abbreviated to soccer. That's why.
Yep.
We're only using what you guys used.
I mean,
the whole operation was your idea.
I mean, I'm not going to argue because we call it. There's programs over here called Soccer AM, Soccer Saturday. People love those shows.
I love that guy.
People love those shows. Yet they get their wits up when people call it soccer. And it's like, But anyway,
they only get their wits up because it's that they hate us because they ain't us type deal.
it's anyway. Right. Moving on. Fan questions. Because, well, we've already answered one of them. And that was Dave's question from earlier on about Andy Nahar. Then we've got Brian, who came along with 2 questions. First one, we're going to bring up on the screen just right now is, as of right now, who would we want in the first round of the playoffs?
So I'm going to give the table a quick look real quick, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's where we've all just kind of headed.
And so if the first round of the playoffs were to start today,
Yep.
we'd be on the road at the moment against
To Orlando.
That's
Which I don't want.
You say that.
Yeah.
If I was going to pick a team at the moment, if the standings were final, but we could pick anyone, I'd pick Montreal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but the thing is Montreal has overperformed this year, right? And the same can be said about DC based off of what we had last year, right? Montreal, who held us to a 0-0 draw earlier in the season at a home game that was well away from their home, has only gotten better since that result, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Props to the Impact on that. And I'm not calling them by their new name, but props to the Impact for what they've been able to accomplish in spite of all their adversities.
Forza Montreal. I think know what that.
Yeah. I think that's Italian.
Yeah, I'm joking.
I always get it
fitting
mixed
in Toronto
up.
than
Club
Quebec.
de Foot de
Yes.
Montreal.
Yeah, something
Club
like
de
that.
Foot Montreal is, I believe, what they want to be called.
Yeah.
But that's whatever. I think that we can beat them if we do play them. I don't think there's a team in the East that we can't beat.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if there's an exact matchup that I would want. If I'm looking at the teams that are on the fringes of the playoffs right now that could squeak in and that we could end up playing, I'd love to play the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
I'd love to play them at home in the first round.
Oh.
That would be great. That
would be awesome.
And again, I'm looking at so there's a whole chaos theory ending to the season where 10 teams in the East can end up tied for second. Yeah. It would end up with DC finishing in third on tie breaks because we would have more wins than everyone but Miami. Miami would be the team that finishes in second. But if that's a situation that ends up happening, and I would love for that, I think that would just be hilarious. We get a home game, and a home game against the Red Bulls, a home game against the Impact, a home game against Atlanta are all very winnable games in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You're taking a look at the table right now, aren't you? It's a great thread.
Yeah.
And the thread hinges on DC winning the next 2 games, by the way. So
okay.
We'll see what happens.
We shall indeed. Right. Next question from Brian, which is kind of similar veins. So which clubs do we think match well against and which ones do you think we would have trouble against? So we can do well against any of the teams. I think the ones we would struggle against would probably be Nashville if we ended up on a road game against them. I think that's one we could potentially struggle. Then the other one really for me would be Philly if we ended up on a road game against them. Yeah.
Philly away would be a hard one.
Yeah. Other than that, and maybe Orlando, but I know we can beat them.
Any team on the road, right?
Well, yeah. Any
team on. If we have to play away, that's the trouble. Playing away is the trouble in the playoffs for DC. When you look at our home versus away record, right? I think we're like 11th in the East away.
It's night and
day.
Looking
at away results.
It is night and day. We've picked up 10 points on the road.
Yes, 2 wins, 4 draws, 9 losses.
Yeah.
Wow.
So any team away, that's the answer. Any team at home is our favorable matchup. Any team away is our bad matchup.
Dan?
I pretty much the same thing. Yeah. I would say any away game, I'm going to be very nervous about. And then, yeah, especially against those top three. And like Angus said, Philly in Philadelphia, that's tough. That's always a tough match.
We
So,
haven't won in Philly in a long time.
yeah. So
the first time we beaten Philly in a long time was this year, but it was a home game and we destroyed them.
Exactly. Yeah. So
but
we
don't get that same result away.
Pretty much what Angus said.
Yeah. Cool. So the last question is from fellow co-host Tom, who has asked, what DC's strength to a good playoff run, and what are the weaknesses? Let's not talk about playing home and playing away, because we've done that to death now. What are our other strengths and weaknesses? So
injuries.
Injuries.
Okay, Dan. Yeah, you can go first.
Yeah,
I'll
Dan,
just toss
go
injuries.
Yeah, no, that was. I think that's the top thing is injuries. And I think it's just, this is a team that plays on swings of momentum. So I think it's a lot of intangible things that can potentially like hold this team back. I think to a degree, it's maybe not playing super tight for 90 minutes, 90 plus. I think it's a discipline thing. It's a injuries or just circumstance thing, but I don't necessarily think there's a ton of weakness in just like, this team's ability, just raw ability. I would, I'm with Angus on this. I hate betting against DC. I don't necessarily take joy when I call a loss or anything like that. But because it hurts, because this is a team that has a lot of raw ability, that has a lot of power, has a really good coach, and I think just the weaknesses are just things that are just kind of outside the actual playing of the game. And that's really sort of where it's at. It's the mental discipline, it's the fitness, and just when this team finds momentum, because there were, in the string of losses that we had, starting with Nashville a couple months ago, we had a swing of momentum against Nashville. We scored early, and we were ready to go, and then we didn't capture it. The team kind of rested, or they didn't necessarily commit to stepping on their throat, and the team suffered for it. Now, obviously, with Kempen in goal, like this is one of those things. But this is a team that needs to be disciplined and can't get comfortable with a lead. They have to absolutely go for everything.
Yeah, we're definitely a team that plays with the heart on our sleeves, right?
Yeah.
It's really funny. I look back at this Amazon Prime show. It's called Mozart in the Jungle. And the conductor in the show, it's a weird show about the New York Orchestra, right? But the conductor in the show is very similar to Hernan in a way, right? They're both very much about the conductor's saying was always play with the blood, play with the passion, right? And that's how we play. That's the kind of style that we play. We play that hard. We play passionately. We play with our heart on our sleeves, and we're ready for it to get crushed at any moment. That's what ended up happening in Orlando, right? That's how teams succeed in the playoffs, when draws do not matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The issue is that's also how teams fail in the playoffs. A great example of that was our 2019 playoff bow out to Toronto, right? We played with we played safe for a while, played hard for the last bit to get that drawing goal, tied it up, and then we had overcommitted ourselves and gave up 4 in extra time.
Yeah.
That was not a good game.
Not a great game at all. But them's the breaks in the playoffs, right? Anything can happen. It's the playoffs. And right now I see a DC team that is in a very similar situation, but in a completely different situation. It's going to be them's the breaks in the playoffs, but is it going to be them's the breaks for the same reasons? Definitely not.
Yeah. No, and it's one of the things that, and I'm going to say this is a weakness, and this is not just for us though, but refereeing.
Oh, for sure. But that's going to be a weakness for the rest of the season. It's always going to be a weakness when you've got the current system of refereeing in the United States.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion for a whole nother time.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm just can't think of anything else to add because you guys have covered it very, very nicely. Right, let's just take one last look at the show notes. That little wrap up was about the chaos, which you told us about. So
Yep, DC can end up finishing third in the East, but also finishing second in the East at the same time. Which
it's just mad.
I'm willing to root for it with the idea that DC ends up with a home playoff game, right?
Oh yeah,
And we can get results. I think DC can finish second in this league, to be honest. And the way that ends up happening is by us beating Nashville on Saturday.
Yeah. Yes.
So if we don't get that win, there goes our second place is done, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want us to play as if we're on the outside looking in, right?
Yeah.
So,
we're the underdogs in this scenario. That's how we should be.
And that's how we should play every game. We should play every game assuming that nobody likes us, because that's the cold hard truth in this league.
Well, the MLS writers don't like us, so
they're not going to like us until we build another shiny 30,000 seat stadium with a new rebrand with an even blander name. I don't know what they want.
A blander badge.
Yeah. It's gonna screw the eagle. It's just gonna be the just the flag in the round roll, right? Yeah. In the shield, there's just gonna be a flag. That's it. DCFC, and then they'll care about us, which is complete bullshit. I would hate that. I don't know how I would feel. And that's how Montreal fans feel right now, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
But
New England are about to go through a rebrand as well.
But from what I can understand, it's actually a well received rebrand. I believe they're keeping the Revolution name. It's really just a retooling of their badge, which hasn't been touched since 1996, which ends our Montreal Canadiens streak of having a team that hasn't messed with a thing for a very long time.
Yeah.
Here's the only rebrand I would ever accept. Going with your flag motif, Angus, I'm down with that, but you bring back the dips and you build a statue of Johan Cruyff outside of Audi Stadium.
Yeah, right next to Ben Olsen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a rebrand name here.
Club de
Capita. Oh my God, Albert, stop
Love
giving
it.
him ideas, okay?
Love it. And I've just seen Tom just going on about for the rest of the season some keys to every game, because we know how DC likes to throw out their keys to the game.
Yep.
Punish the mistakes, limit our own. Absolutely. Yep. Know when to press, create offense, but also to get organized defensively behind it. Yeah, very simple.
Yeah, just basically don't get caught out on the counter. That's do what I normally do, which is generalize everything. Just don't get caught out on the counter and we'll be fine.
Yeah,
but the issue is DC gets caught out on the counter a lot.
Yeah, especially if Alfaro's playing.
The first goal we ever conceded of the new season was due to us being caught out on an overload and countered pretty effectively.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
we'll
see.
We shall see.
Simple enough. Felipe, he can break some ankles, so we'll see what happens.
Physically break ankles as opposed to the dribbling break ankles.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. I mean, that if Felipe is going to do anything, it's going to be the latter on that one. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not going to.
Shout out Vinny Jones. He's a shout out Vinny Jones. That's what we want out of Felipe this weekend.
Oh, Vinny Jones. Yes.
The crazy gang.
Oh, those were the days. Back when you could actually grab people's nuts and you wouldn't get red carded for it.
Yeah, back when football was football and that kind of
exactly,
shit.
Yeah.
And everybody wore
men.
Yeah. All the fat dudes you see at an England game with their shirts off. That's when they were boys. Like that's the kind of soccer they want to see. Millwall fans.
Neil Razor-Ruddock.
Yeah.
If you know who he is.
Millwall
and West Ham.
Just all West Millwall Ham fans. Just Millwall. No, just Millwall. Because West Ham's got a shiny new stadium. Millwall still plays it.
And Leeds.
And everyone needs to be rocking a George Best cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Or shaved head, or complete shaved head.
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
Nothing in between.
Oh, David Beckham's got nothing on you, James. Don't worry.
No.
I mean, I'm
Bend
not
it like
doing it properly, but
Beckham has nothing on you.
yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Right. On that note, let's end it because we are coming up to a healthy 1 hour 45 minutes almost. So
Yeah.
it's a good one. So thank you, lads, for taking the time out again to come and do this.
Again, put us on if you're on the ESPN Plus broadcast and you don't have Dave Johnson. Just put us on and we'll just do match commentary. Oh, look, there goes Sorga again. He's come back from Venlo and he's scored.
Yeah.
It's like the water boy. He came on at halftime. Nobody knew he was here.
And that's his 8th. Flip a neck.
He scored an Ovech trick.
Ovech trick. Jeez.
That's a deep cut for all of us old Caps fans.
I got that.
You've seen the Ovech trick commercial?
No, I've not seen the commercial, but I know who you were talking about.
So there was an old commercial. There was an old commercial for NHL. It might have been a Discover ad, like the credit card company, or it was like NHL on NBC. And Alex Ovechkin scored 9 goals in a game. And so it like went viral as the name was Ovech trick because he's the only guy who could ever score 9 goals in a game. To be fair, he probably is the only guy who can ever score 9 goals in a game. But yeah, that's a early 2010s, late 2000s ad that is just forever in my head from watching Caps games of an NHL network of days past.
Back when they were like on the outdoor channel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When Versus was a sports network.
I love that. Never
That's
met
very
a man.
true, Richard. It's my buddy Richard. I used to go to high school with him.
Oh.
Hope Purdue's treating you well there, big guy.
Oh, bless. Right. So let's wrap things up. Angus, tell the good. I mean, I can see you've got your Twitter handle right there.
Yep. You can find me at that Twitter handle, angus.s.long on Instagram. But also, I'm going to use my shout out portion to shout out 202 Unique. I'm wearing their shirt right now. Got the scarf behind me. They're the DC United LGBTQ plus supporters group for members of that community and allies. I myself am an ally, and I just wanted to shout them out because they're doing fantastic things to make the game a lot more inclusive. You can find them at 202 Unique on Twitter, 202 Unique on Instagram, I believe. And they're doing great stuff. So make sure to go give them a follow. Go check out what they're doing because they're good people and they've done a lot of good things recently for the game here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Great shout out, Angus. Thank you for that. Daniel, where can the good folks find you?
Yeah, find me on Instagram and Twitter at sdakotasoccer. Like I said, I have always said, like, I work in social media, so I don't spend a ton of time on Twitter, but I do love getting in with the supporters group chat whenever a game's happening. And yeah, it's a fun group, and that's just the best. Love everyone in there.
Yeah. And look at that link below. If you want to come and join us, it is the dcunitedkingdom.com/membership. And if you want to come and follow me on Twitter, it's at DC United Kingdom. You'll see all the updates coming through. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at DC United Kingdom FC. If you want to support the show in any way, just head to that link, bio.link/DC United Kingdom. You'll see everything on there, different ways you can support the show. And as always, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, also hit like, because that is very much appreciated. And feel free to share it with all your mates because, sharing is caring. So again, thank you, Angus. Thank you, Daniel, down there, for coming on and having this epic episode. And until next time, I'm going to look at the camera for this one. Vamos United.